Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm Jake, and with me today, the one and only, the Italian pride, Steven.
Italian pride.
The Italian pride.
You're about to call me like Italian Stallion or something like that.
Oh, that's better. The Italian Stallion, Steven.
You almost caught me mid ugly yawn. So don't use that. Just
I'm gonna find it. I'll insert it anyway.
Put me in after the yawn.
Okay. Anywho, welcome back to Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about TV shows, movies, anime, games, whatever we want to talk about. Today, we've got a great show for you. We're going to be talking a lot about Switch. There's a lot of crazy Switch news that's going on. We're going to be talking about our time with PvP in Destiny this week. And then, who knows, we might talk about some other stuff. There's the Black Panther trailer that's come out. The new Punisher trailer is out. So we'll get on to all sorts of things. So you got a good show coming. So, Steven, how you been, man? It's been a good week?
Pretty good. It's been a busy week.
Yeah.
I have not had much downtime to play much or to really do much for the past couple weeks.
I feel you.
Busy.
I've been editing, and then last week the past 2 days I've been on a shoot, so I haven't had much time to game other than what I've had on my Switch. So I beat Golf Story. Golf Story is done. Golf Story is great. I don't know if you would have access. I don't know if it's on any other systems other than Switch, Steven, but it's a pretty funny game. I mean, I've told stories on the podcast about it. If you're a Switch owner, you've just got to get it. It just gets better and better. I told the story about fighting off the undead with my golf club and hitting golf balls at enemies. There's a whole course that's run by the undead that you get to later. It's great. You fight a grand wizard. It's awesome. So you need, if you're a Switch owner, you can't miss out on this game. It's not that expensive. It's totally worth it. But anyway, I don't know if it's on PC or anything, Steven. I'd say it's worth playing.
I just checked. It's not on PC. But the extent of my knowledge of this Golf Story game is literally, you told me, yeah, I'm going to be playing Golf Story. And then now when you were just like, yeah, I've been playing Golf Story. And now you're like, oh, undead course, beating them off with my golf club. And I'm just like, what?
So I guess it must have been last podcast that you weren't on. I told the story of it. But it's great. There's this one part where you're fighting off an army of the undead by hitting golf balls at them, and it's great. And so, anyway, it's a great game. It's totally worth it. I started Stardew Valley while I was on my trip. I was hoping it would just instantly suck me in, but I think there must be a certain hour or a certain point you've got to get through. I literally just created my character. I picked what kind of terrain I wanted my farm to be on. I got in. I got through the opening bits, and then when you first arrived at your farm, have you ever played Stardew Valley, Steven?
I've never played any game like it.
Okay,
never,
I know
any of the.
I know Brody's a huge fan of it, but when you first arrive at your farm, it's just completely overgrown. There's rocks, there's grass, there's trees, there's branches, and so I spent like a good 10 or 15 minutes just destroying things to get it open. And then it told me my character was exhausted and when he was about to die. And so I kind of slowly walked around town, trying to figure out what I was supposed to do. And then I just I just quit. I was like, I'm done for today. I'm not in the right mood for this. So then I watched all the CW superhero shows. So that was what I did on my trip. But other than that, I've been playing Destiny. So
yes. Speaking of speaking of superhero shows.
Yes.
The Gifted,
yeah,
on Fox, that new X-Men show is really good.
You're liking it.
I'm liking it a lot because the whole thing is, it is about mutants existing in a world without the X-Men because something happened to the X-Men, we don't know what. People have speculated that it takes place 10 years before Logan does. So this is post whatever incident wiped out the X-Men. So it's less about, teens with superpowers being raised to fight against evil and the whole ideal of mutants overtaking humanity or mutants coexisting with humanity. And it's about the tensions between mutants and humanity in a world where it's not illegal to be a mutant, but discharging your powers is illegal. And since most mutants activate their power based on distress, it's basically illegal to be a mutant. The special effects are really good. The story is pretty good. There's some really dumb plot points in there, but all in all, like, it's I think 4 episodes in, and I'm down. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's funny how TV has evolved to the point where like the special effects can be almost on par with what you'd see in a movie. I mean, I think of HBO, and then there's some other shows that are doing really well. Like this, I've seen some of the stuff from Gifted, and it looks really good. But anyway, you're a bigger X-Men fan than I am, so that's why I haven't been able to really put time into it. But I'm glad it's good. I'm glad you're liking it. Maybe it'll be something.
It feels less like X-Men and more like Heroes.
That's everything I've seen, everything I've heard you talk about. Those are the words that are coming off in my head is Heroes. It sounds like Heroes. So that sounds like Heroes. Even the girl, the main actress girl, I guess she's psychic. I don't know. She's the blonde-haired one. Yeah, she looks like Hayden Panettiere to me.
She does.
So
she makes like these bubble force fields. That's all she does, and she. I don't know. It's like, oh, cool. Her little brother, though, he's a little bad because he has some kind of magnetic or telekinetic powers to where he can just destroy things just by being upset. I don't know. We don't know what
that doesn't happen all the time because I would be destroying things.
Yeah,
left and right.
A mean streak.
I loved your Snapchat this week of something about the radio. It was you were flipping. Was that Nickelback that came on the radio?
This is how my morning started. It went from I was on one of our local radio stations, and it was low. Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. That song that needs to die.
Right.
For some reason, it's still played on the radio, and I was like, no, can't have that. So I switched to my other preset, and it was just Nickelback. And it was like, oh, what? It was like that. Like I that's all I had to hear. And it was like, oh my God, I'm in hell. I'm literally in hell. I'm stuck between apple bottom jeans and Nickelback, and there's nothing I can do about it.
I have a question, and I wish Brody was here so we could have another voice to answer this. So, audience, feel free to tweet us this answer. But does anyone still listen to the radio? Apparently, you do.
I had the same thought today, and here's my thing. I still listen to the radio because I don't have the most efficient way to listen to my phone, like music on my phone, because I don't have a tape adapter. I don't have a stereo system that goes aux. Right. I have to use a cigarette adapter that finds a radio frequency,
and then you
that
port it through aux. That. Yeah. I used to have one of those. The sound levels aren't good. So sometimes, like if I'm just in the car for a few minutes, like if I'm headed to work and don't want to drain my phone battery, or if I'm just commuting from like where I work to the building 2 minutes over that I deliver to. I'll have the radio on. Right.
So I still listen to the radio sometimes. I had that thought earlier, though. Like I used to listen to the radio all the time. I used to sleep to the radio because I just can't sleep to silence. I'm still that way. But yeah, I thought that, and it's like I'm surprised radio. It's not doing great, but I'm surprised it's still doing as well as it is because of how much they've probably lost a viewing or not viewing, listening audience.
I either don't have anything playing in my car, or I have a podcast or something that's coming off of my phone. So it's just interesting hearing you listen to radio. I mean, obviously people love Spotify and things like that. So I guess that's kind of where it's kind of meeting now. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about our time in PvE this week, Steven. Was it Monday that we were playing? That feels like so far away, but that had to have been when it was. It was either Monday night or Sunday night or something.
It was one of those nights because we were coming close to where we I know I told Miles to make sure he got his Ingrams from Hawthorne, so it was either
Right.
Sunday or Monday.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm not a big trophy person. I'm not. Somehow I have a higher score than most of you guys. Like, I think you and I probably have.
You carried over from PS3, that's why.
That's what it is. Well, anyway, I've got like a 13 score, which is not very big, but it's bigger than anybody who I'm friends with. So I've kind of like kept an eye on certain trophies and like what games I'm really close to like having a platinum and stuff on. And Destiny, I just looked and I was like 70% on it. And so I looked to see what else I had to do. We have to do a Nightfall or a prestige Nightfall or a prestige raid, which we haven't even done the raid, so that's not going to happen. So it's going to have to be a prestige Nightfall. I have to meet somebody who's in the Spire, which is the social space in PvP.
Trials of the Nine.
In the Trials of the Nine, right. And so those are the two that I was like, okay, these are the hardest things I'm going to have to do. If I have an opportunity to do them, I need to do them. So it's very rare that all four of us, Miles, Steven, Brody, and I, are all on at any given moment. And so I was like, guys, can we please try to do the Trials of the Nine so I can get this achievement? And Steven hates PvP, so he put in I took one for the team, as it were, and said yes. The unfortunate part was because Steven hates PvP, he had not done any of the prerequisites to get to the Trials of the Nine. So we had to play probably 3 or 4 hours of PvP.
It was close, yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, honestly. I don't know if Steven, if you really enjoyed it or not, but Miles was 100% in. He was like, I don't know if you've ever watched YouTube videos of like people who are like calling out things in like Call of Duty or anything like that. Miles was like full commander mode. He was like, okay, all right, Jake, I'm up behind you. Oh, guy on your left, guy on your right. Oh, get him. Oh, yeah, boy. He was all over the place.
So Miles is really into PUBG right now, but he has not gotten to play PUBG. So
Gotcha.
He watches Twitch streamers.
Right.
Pretty frequently. And he loves this guy named Dr. Disrespect.
Yes, I know Dr. Disrespect.
Which he's hilarious. He's
basically
Miles and I are convinced that he's actually Tom Cruise dressed like an 80s Tom Cruise. But that's a theory for another day. So Miles, when he plays games that have to do with, he's a little competitive. He's more competitive than you'd peg him to be. Mm-hmm. So when it's in a situation where he's going up against other people, he is in it. Like he is on. It's at the point to where a lot of what he says isn't even to benefit the team. It's just because he's so in the zone, he needs to say it so that he like is still in the zone.
Right.
It's to the point where like he was like, every move that he was making, he was saying, all right, going left. Okay, there's a spot on that wall. Okay, shooting this guy. Bam, that guy's dead. Shooting that guy. Oh, that's over there. And then the match was over, and he was still talking. He was like, what happened? And it's like, Miles, we won. And he was like, oh.
It's like he blacks out.
Yeah, he blacks out. He goes in the zone. And it's like he's so into it. And at the same time, he's so disconnected to what's actually happening. But he was killing it. He was doing great. He was, in a lot of ways, carrying a lot of those matches.
Yeah, and you did really good. I held my own as you normal. I'm not the best at it by any stretch of the imagination, but I mean, I think we had a lot of fun with it. We played through. We got a bunch of Iron Banner tokens because at a certain point, you hit a point where you just had to play PvP for a certain amount of time to unlock Trials of the Nine. So we did Iron Banner for all of that. Had a blast doing that. Got a lot of tokens. I've gotten some cool gear. We finally get Steven ready to go to the Trial of the Nine, and we get in. And at this point, Lee Allison's asleep, so I'm like back in my whispering mode. As I play, Brody loves when I whisper in Destiny. It's great. But we're talking, and I'm basically like, it's funny. the stupidness of how we did this is just, it cracks me up. But it wasn't until we were like loading into our first mission that we thought, do we have to win a mission, or do we have to, like, how many do we have to win to get there? So we started looking it up, and so as we're like talking, we're being loaded in. And I don't know if you guys expected this, but I certainly did not know that this was going to happen, and I was not expecting it. But it did like a team roster, and it showed everybody on the team what gear they had, and then whatever emote you had equipped, that was like what your character was doing while you did this. I was playing as my hunter named Valkyrie, who I had just gotten. I've been collecting dust to buy that cool, some exotic speeder that went off market once I had enough money. So I bought a bunch of emotes. One of the emotes I bought was the Bureaucrat's Walk. And I don't know if this is a meme or what it is, but this is basically what it does. I'm standing up, Steven. I'm going to show. Is it from Mighty Python? Well, basically, it's just like you're kicking and you're doing this, and it's just like some kind of walking dance. Anyway, we all look up, and my character's doing that. And we all busted out laughing.
Wait.
Because none of us expected that. But then Steven's...
Mine was the worst.
Steven's character was doing this. He was doing like the riding the pony. He
was riding the pony.
He was doing the whole nine. It was great. And then like Brody's was a table flip or something, which looked cool. And then I can't remember what Miles
did the salt meme.
Oh, he had Salt Bay. Yeah, right. So anyway, none of us were expecting that. So that was probably the best part of the whole night. Immediately following that, the other team was like all these like bad. Like one of them had the table flip. One of them was like all tough, and then they had some guy who was doing the confused meme, and then they creamed us, absolutely creamed us. Like we had played the same modes to get there, and like creamed people. Like we were killing in PvP. Like we won almost every match we played, but once we got to the Trial of the Nine, whoo, it was rough.
When you get to Trials of the Nine, it's those guys that play PvP all the time.
All the time.
They know the maps, they know the modes, they know the tricks, and it's just...
We were easy wins for them. We were easy wins for them. I hope those were guys who were trying to get to like the top level of the Spire, and we just gave them an easy win, because otherwise I feel horrible. Like it was just I hated them. It was so bad that at one point I was just like trying to figure out how could we communicate to them that we just need one win. And you guys were like, there's no way they're going to do anything. There's no way they're going to do anything. Spoiler alerts, they didn't do anything. But I was like, what if we just sit down at the spawn and just sit there, and maybe they'll come up and try to like understand what our situation is. So the first time I just did it and no one else did. And so the guys walked up to me and just shot me in the head and I died. The next time we all kind of agreed, they all walked in and shot us all. The next time, Brody and Steven decided that the new game we were playing was who could be shot first. So we all sit down, and then I see Brody and Steven's character just kind of like slowly scooting forward. And we all got shot again. I think Steven won at getting shot first. The next time, Brody was like, I'm going to go hide. Like, he was hiding in front of us so that they would walk past him to get to us. And so anyway, they all walk up to us. They kind of look at us for a second. They shoot us. And then when the match didn't end, they were like you can kind of see a couple of them like looking around. And then Brody just like takes off running. He like waved at one, and that guy waved back, and then someone shot him. It was great. Except we didn't win, and I didn't get to the Spire, and I still don't have that trophy. So
I am not a fan of PvP. And as we learned...
It's not because he's not good.
It's not because I'm not good. I'm pretty good. I can
he was
play
good.
some PvP.
You were great.
Brody even told me, because at one point I was the highest score in the game, but I was getting popcorn. And Brody was like, I hate you so much because you're not even trying at all. And I'm just over by my microwave. I'm just like, stuffing popcorn in my face. Like, did we win? But I had the highest score. But it's because I just don't enjoy PvP.
Yeah.
It comes off as repetitive to me a lot of the time. And just set the stage here. I don't like PvP usually. Some games I really like it on. Titanfall, I'll still play some Titanfall PvP. That game's awesome. But for my good buddy Jake, he was like, I just need this platinum trophy. And I was like, you know what? I like Jake more than I hate PvP.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so nice. But we didn't get the trophy, and I need it.
Never again. I'm never doing Trials of the Nine ever again. That was devastating.
Our friend Scott, who has done, he's helped us do the one part of the raid that we have done. He plays all the time. He does PvP a lot. So I want to see if I can get with him and see if he can put together a crew of 3. And I just want to give them the challenge of beating Trials of the Nine with 3 people. And I'm just going to tag along because I'm not going to be much help. But I want to get there. I want to do this achievement because that's honestly that's the hardest one for me because I'm not good at PvP. You guys don't like PvP as much because like Prestige Trial or Prestige Nightfall, like I feel like at some point we'll want to try that. You know, like once we all get to closer to level 300, I feel like that's something we'll eventually say, hey, this is a good Nightfall to try it. Let's do it. You know, but the other stuff. Whew. There's one other one that I always forget about, but it's not crazy hard. It's just something I'm gonna have to like do. I'm gonna have to like play long enough. I can't remember what it was. Anywho, still loving Destiny. I was telling you earlier, Steven, we were talking about Shadow War. I haven't touched it since the last podcast talking about it. Whenever I have that chance to play something and it's on the PS4, I want to play Destiny. So
I've been revitalized in a way I didn't expect with Destiny because my problem with Destiny before was that I had nothing left to do.
Right.
Like, I got all my gear. I was just waiting for the next time we all got on. I did my flashpoint. I did the occasional stuff. But then I finally snapped, and you were there for it.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we were playing that Strike, and Brody was playing this. We were all playing our hunters, and I've been playing Night Stalker, and I have such a love-hate relationship with the Night Stalker because it's the most supportive hunter subclass there is, because it's good with generating orbs, it's good with holding down choke points, and if you play it right, if you played it right in the first game, which I did, it was a buffer. So like it could give everybody increased stats, increased healing, stuff like that. It was awesome. So in this game, they made it to where you can only choose between one of 2 paths, and you are locked in with what those 2 paths have. The Night Stalker was boned, royally boned, because you can either get the Void Anchor that reaches really far and lasts really long, and that's basically all you get for that path, which is the better Void Anchor, or you can get it to where you can shoot 3 shots, but your Void Anchors don't last long at all. But if you use that one, then you can get it to where if you kill things that are anchored, you get Courage of the Pack, which is the buff that I was talking about, and you generate more orbs with the tether kills. But they're so hard to get because they don't last for crap and they don't reach. So it's like they took both core concepts of both paths and they made the mechanic of the super work against the core mechanic. So
ridiculous.
I've been using these pants called the Orpheus Rig. That they are the pants with the quiver that allows you to get super energy back for every tethered enemy. So whenever we do public events, I mean, you've seen me. I can use the tether constantly, and it's amazing.
Right.
But if you go Pathfinder, which is the path that I want to do because it's the one that generates more orbs, it's the one that gives you Courage of the Pack. That's the one I wanted to do. It was the more supportive one. You don't get the benefit from Orpheus Rig because with the 6 shots you have, by the time you're done shooting the shots, the tethers are gone, so there's no tether for you to get super energy back from. So it works against itself. So I thought that their trade-off with this whole time, I'm explaining this to you because this is how I thought this worked. Because when I first played Night Stalker, Pathfinder got 3 shots with the bow. And I thought Orpheus Rig, and I swear this is how it was. With Orpheus Rig, you get 6. I thought, okay, maybe that's their trade-off. Maybe since you don't get the super energy back, maybe you get 6 shots instead of 3. So we're playing, and Brody shoots 6 shots. And I was like, when did you get Orpheus rig, Brody? And he's like, oh, I don't have it. And my world collapsed. I was like,
really, really interesting watching it. You literally, I described it as a meltdown, and you were like, it wasn't a meltdown, but really, I mean, it's what it was. He wasn't like freaking out or screaming or anything, but you basically explained all that, and then you were just like went on this rampage about just how stupid it is that how the, like you said, the system, it's just fighting itself. And so you were just like, that's it. I'm going gunslinger. That's it. I've made my stand today. So we beat the raid or the Night Stalker, and then we went to the tower, and like you spent 20 or 30 minutes or something getting everything ready, and you came in and you were like, I'm gunslinger now. I'm all gunslinger. Everything about my outfit is gunslinger. I am ready to go.
We literally beat that strike, and I was just in a stunned silence after I ranted. And I was just so pissed. I was so angry. And it got to the point to where we beat the boss, and I was like, yay, we won. Okay, I'm going to go kill myself. And I ran over to the cliff, and I jumped off the cliff and killed myself, which symbolized the death of Night Stalker to me. Until they fix it, Night Stalker is dead to me. So now I'm a gunslinger. I shoot a golden gun. I generate a lot of orbs. Whoop de frickin' do.
Whoop de frickin' do. I love my Arcstrider Hunter, but that's the best class. I mean, to me, that's the best class. Gunslinger right behind that. No. Subclass, yeah. For
we're
Hunter.
About to argue.
No.
Hunter's the worst class in the game.
I mean, Warlock to me, I love every subclass that I have as a Warlock. I like Dawnblade. I like, as Miles calls it, Senator Palpatine, Stormbringer.
On ice.
On ice, I'm sorry. And then even the Voidwalker works, especially if you got the right gear, so that if you kill something, you get that orb back, and you can just throw void bombs all over the place. I love all of those. The Titan, I like the Void Shield class, and I love the Fire Hammer thing. But I don't like whatever the arc one is, where you're just like slamming down on things. I don't like how that controls Striker. Yeah. But Hunter, like you said, I don't really like Gunslinger. That's my maybe second favorite. Arcstrider is good. I like it, but it's not like, oh, this is awesome. Like I really enjoy it. That's my favorite subclass to be. But then, like Night Stalker, I thought I would love it because it's a void bow, and everybody knows, we talk about it all the time. I love anything that has a bow in it, but it's just for what it is. It's not worth it.
It's disgraceful. I worked so hard.
Yeah.
I worked so hard to make that class work. And here's the thing: I always really liked Gunslinger, but Night Stalker was when like the game clicked for me when I played D1.
Right.
Like I played Night Stalker, and I was loving it because I could get my super back super quick because I had low cooldowns, and I had Bad Juju, which was my pulse rifle that I wish was in this game, which makes it to where every kill you get reloads the gun immediately without the clip's just there again, and it also increases your super energy. So you could just kill a bunch of little guys and have your super up in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Loved it. And so in this game, I went forward because I told you guys that what made me impulse buy Destiny 2, what made me realize I'm getting this game, was when they said the Night Stalker was coming back. Because I thought I was going to have to play the Gunslinger, and I was like, okay, sure, fine. But then they're like, no, yeah, all the Taken King subclasses are back. And I was invigorated. I was like, yes, Night Stalker. And now it's just like I'm back to square one, where it's like, okay, well, I'm Gunslinger. At least I have to search for loot again. At least I have purpose again.
Right.
Which, it's a good class. Like they made it more versatile because now when you run Sharpshooter, which is the one I run, you can precision hit with Golden Gun. So you can stack damage a lot, and every precision hit summons 2 orbs of light. Right. So now if I play my cards right, I could get like 8 orbs of light out with 1 super, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe Bungie, I mean, surely in one of the DLCs, it's gonna bring on a new subclass. That's what I'm hoping for. And maybe they'll hear what all these hunters are saying and bring us something new. That's what I'm hoping for. But anyway,
They'd have to add a new element first, which...
Or it could be just a repeat. Or what if they brought back 3 new subclasses, and it was just an alternate one for each energy? That would be interesting.
That would be interesting, because...
I don't know, but whatever.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So we should have talked about this while we were talking about X-Men, but circling back to X-Men, let's talk about that New Mutants trailer that came out this week, Steven.
I was hoping you'd bring it up. I was hoping. I was so hopeful.
So Steven texts me on like Monday or something.
It was Friday the 13th. That's when they came out with the trailer.
Okay, all right. Well, Friday, I was on a shoot. Steven texts me, hey, there's this new trailer for this thing called New Mutants out. You should go watch it. And I was like, I'm not a big, like, I'm kind of over X-Men right now. I don't really care to watch anything else. But Steven was like, no, it's a horror movie. You need to watch it. And so I watch it, and the first thing that really, like, I watched the first half, and Maisie Williams is in it from Game of Thrones, and I love Maisie Williams. So I was like, oh, Maisie Williams. Okay, well, I might have to go see this. Like, this, I don't do horror movies, but this might be worth it. Then I watched the rest of the trailer, and I'm just like, what is this? Like, it's so... I can't remember how you put it, Steven, but you said something like, it's just, think of the most generic horror...
It's samey.
It's very samey. The premise, like you said, is very intriguing, but just this demonstration of it. The premise is it's kids, mutants, who are afraid of their powers.
They're like locked up in a hospital because they're mutants. But in addition to the horror elements, and this is just speculation off of what I've seen in the trailer, in addition to the horror elements of being kept in captivity because of what you are, they also have to come to grips with the horror element of what they are and what they can do.
Right.
And one of the characters apparently has the ability to manipulate dreams, which is like, okay, that's a solid horror premise. You could do something with that. But they didn't. The trailer just looks like the most generic teen horror flick you've ever seen. And I don't know. What else were you going to say?
That was it. That's all I had on it. Maisie Williams is enough star power that I might go see it, but it's one of those things that, like, I love movies. I love superhero movies. I love all this sort of stuff. But I still haven't seen Kingsman. Kingsman's been out for a long time. Thor Ragnarok is coming out in a few weeks, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to have time to go see that. Like, I have not seen... Like, I've been so excited about Kingsman, too. So,
did you see the first one?
Oh, yeah, I've seen the first one. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I've seen the first one. Kingsman 2.
Okay.
I haven't
Miles
seen Kingsman
and I
2
watched it
yet.
last night. He hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah. I need to go see it. I'm so excited. I've been so excited about it. We've talked about it on the podcast. I want to see it, but I just haven't had time. We don't go to the movies as much. So I don't know. It's one of those things, like, if something like that, just the trailer doesn't even get me, it's like, I'll pass on that one. But anyway, another trailer that came out this week, though, that I do think you'll like. Did you watch any of the Black Panther trailer?
Yes.
I'm so excited for Black Panther.
I love the guy, Chadwick Boseman, I think is his name.
Yeah.
I love him as T'Challa. He's so good.
He's got the part down. I love how they're showing, like, Wakanda, like, just being this super, just from the future city, and there's all this crazy stuff going on. All the action scenes with the vibranium suits and everything just look awesome. Like, there's one of the big, I guess, spoiler moments from the trailer is I forget what his name, Killmonger. He has his own Black Panther suit, and I don't know if it's like embedded in his skin or how it works, but he was just standing there and suddenly, boom, it's all there. It was so cool.
So there's a couple theories on this. One, he has those bumps on his skin. I don't know if that's some kind of war paint or if it's some kind of nanotech. Two,
I lost him, and my iPad died. Sorry about that, Steven. I lost you for a second. My iPad died, and all that crazy stuff. Technical difficulties, as they say. We were talking about Killmonger
trying to get rid of me.
Using the suit.
Yes. So the first theory was like the bumps on his skin, and the second theory, this one I like a little bit more. In the comic books, Iron Man has this suit called the Bleeding Edge armor, and it's nanites that are under his skin. That when he needs the suit, they take form above his skin. So it's basically a suit that's inside of him. People are saying that Black Panther and Killmonger may have that kind of nanite technology, and that's how they have their suits.
I like that. I really like that. I was reading some stuff, reading up on this whole idea, and it sounds like, wearing the suit, that's not really the crazy thing. What's the crazy thing is getting Black Panther's powers and eating, I forget what it's called. It's like the heart fruit or something like that.
Yeah.
That's basically nature's superhero serum, kind of like Captain America has to go through, which will be interesting to see if they talk about that in this movie and go through all that. I know there's a comic book that where Killmonger does basically he takes over, but then when he tries to eat the fruit, it kills him or poisons him or something like that, and he doesn't get the effects. So. It should be interesting. The movie looks awesome though. The fight scenes just look like it's going to be another great Marvel movie. So that'll be the last one before Infinity War, right? Crazy.
I'm interested to see which one is going to segue into Infinity War, Ragnarok or Black Panther. It makes most sense for Ragnarok.
Yeah. I mean, from everything I heard, the end of Ragnarok is where Infinity War is going to pick right up.
Yeah, because the Comic-Con footage for Infinity War had Thor crashing onto the Milano, the Guardian ship. So I'm thinking that maybe it's going to end on a bad note with Thor. But I don't know. Like, it just seems so tonally different from the movie that we've seen previews for. Like this, they say it's above all else fun,
right?
And it's more lighthearted. And it seems very tonally jarring if this movie ends with Thor being defeated.
Well, it could be that he wins, but then something happens maybe in an after credit scene, or maybe it's something that's maybe they win. We see, everything's kind of back to normal, and then like the last few seconds, something crazy happens that makes you go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And it's going to say Thor will return in Avengers Infinity War or whatever.
Part of me thinks that what they may do, with Captain America, the post-credit scene,
right, was a scene.
Trailer,
right?
Yeah, that I think part of me thinks that what they may do is they may take the Comic-Con footage or a version of it,
and that's what
that
they release.
Be the post-credits for Thor. Yeah,
I totally
because it would make sense because it starts with Thor, and yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd like that. Well, speaking of a series coming to a close, kind of the Avengers Marvel series coming to its head, I guess. Another series is coming to its head. Pokemon has announced that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are the last mainline series games that are going to be on the 3DS.
Had a good run.
It had a good run. It had a long run on 3DS or handheld properties, but
yeah, I love my 3DS, and I talked about this with Brody earlier this week. I'm first and foremost a social gamer now. Like, I just don't have time to play many single player games. I never play my PC anymore because I don't have any friends on PC really.
Right.
I never play my 3DS because I don't have anybody to play on my 3DS with, even though I love it as a system. It's just it just doesn't have a place in my time anymore. And I hate that this is like the beginning of the end for the 3DS.
It definitely spells that, because we've known that a mainline Pokemon game was coming to the Switch, but I don't think anyone could have called that that meant that no more would come to the 3DS. I mean, I honestly kind of expected a Coliseum type, somewhat mainline Pokemon game to come through, but for it to be like, nope, we're full on jumping to the Switch, That blew my mind. I'm glad though.
I mean, yeah, why wouldn't they at this point? Because the Switch can do portable play. It's been a rousing success.
Yeah.
It makes sense for them to do that. So
every time Nintendo announces any 3DS game now that I'm even mildly interested in, I'm like, why isn't this on my Switch? Why can't I play this on my Switch? It would be great on the Switch. I'd want to play it on the Switch. And so, I think certain things make sense, but I do hope that more people start to take this route. And I know there's going to be people out there who disagree with that and love their 3DS and want to stick with it. But for me personally, I hope that this means more is going to be coming to the Switch and less to the 3DS. But anywho, talking of the Switch, though, what do you think of Sony is making a separate, like they've created a new company that's going to publish games on the Switch? Have you heard about this at all?
I think that's great. I saw that you mentioned it, and I had heard a little bit about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's really good because I've said from the beginning that what's really gonna make or break the Switch in a lot of ways is if it gets backing from third and first party developers that aren't Nintendo, and this is them getting that kind of support. People love the Switch. They want to develop for the Switch. And when you got Sony getting on board, who doesn't really seem to like to work with anybody, that's a good sign.
Yeah. So basically what it is they're, and I forget the name, my phone's acting up. I can't pull up the name of the company, but they're creating their own separate company or organization that is developing some games for PC. And they name Switch once, but then like every other time it says other platforms. So, I mean, the other platforms is Switch, all but confirmed. And so it's just very interesting and just very strange because they've talked about how, they're not looking to go the Vita route. They've seen the Switch success, but they don't think that means that they need to go back. But yet here they are, they're saying, okay, maybe we should do something that can kind of tap into that market a little bit. So it's just interesting, but I hope it spells good news for the Switch in the future. I can't remember the name of the game they're developing. I wasn't super interested in it, but the fact that they're doing it at all is good news. But anywho, that's about all the news I really wanted to cover. Is there anything else we're missing?
Visceral Games.
Oh, that's right. They're so they closed down the game, the company that made Dead Space.
Yes. So Visceral Games made the Dead Space games, and we all kind of suspected that Dead Space was gone, or at least in a long hiatus.
We haven't heard anything in a long time.
Yeah, it just underperformed as more games came out, and it's kind of lost its identity. But what really, because I read that and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Yeah. And then I remembered they were making a Star Wars game that was going to, it was rumored to be about a smuggler, and it was going to be a third-person action-adventure game, kind of like Uncharted or maybe something open world. And that bums me out. Yeah. Because, first, 1313. I will never forget 1313. It was going to be so good. It looked so cool. You're familiar with 1313, right? Okay.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. So it's the third-person shooter where you play as a young bounty hunter.
Right.
Learning alongside his mentor, going to Coruscant. And you're going to the depths of Coruscant, which is the city planet.
Right.
And as you get deeper, you get more into the depths of society and just the darker side of everything. And it just looked really cool. It looked darker. It was a Star Wars game without Jedi, which as much as I love Jedi, there's a lot to be done with Star Wars that doesn't have to do with them. And that game got canceled. Bummed me out. When Disney bought Lucas, everybody was happy because that meant, more movies. I was devastated.
Because no more games.
No more games, but also that was the same time they announced that none of the games, none of the books mattered.
Right.
None of it was canon. It was all completely wiped, and that was a large part of my childhood.
Right.
I will never forgive them. That's how I feel. And so then we had hope for more Star Wars games, and they were doing it kind of smart, where they were giving it to already renowned developers. So we would get different flavors of different games, which was really cool. Kind of like what Marvel's doing now between the Square Enix Avengers game and the Insomniac Spider-Man game.
Right.
But Visceral was doing a Star Wars game. They're dead. We don't know what's going to happen.
So
Respawn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go. I think that's what you're getting at. So it's not completely dead. Like, a lot of those properties were turned over to another company, right? I can't remember who is that. Respawn.
Visceral is owned by EA.
Right.
EA, of course, is contracted out to do all Star Wars games. So you had a game being made by Visceral, who did Dead Space. You have a Star Wars game that was being done by Respawn that does Titanfall.
Right.
Which, that's weird. But they've proven that they can do a good campaign with Titanfall 2, so we'll see. But now we don't know what happened to the Visceral Star Wars game. But it has to have been in so far of development.
And they've been working on it for 4 years, right? Something like that?
Something like that. They've been working on it for a while. And it has to be at some point where there's enough done where they're going to shift it. They're going to have to. Otherwise, that's a huge waste of resources. And it's a Star Wars game. When was the last time we got a story-driven Star Wars game?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's been forever. It would sell.
I think ultimately that we may not get what that game was originally going to be. There's probably going to be some properties that they were already using or some ideas that they were already using that's going to be kind of transformed into something else. Some of the people I've listened to talking about this, they say that, that the Respawn was making something, they kind of described it as a Destiny-like, that it was going to be more kind of like Destiny, but in the Star Wars universe, was kind of their idea. They were kind of talking about how they think a lot of that's going to fall in, a lot of those, that what they were working on is going to turn into that, which is interesting. I think that could be cool in the Star Wars universe, but like you're saying, when are we getting a Star Wars story game? I mean, obviously Battlefront 2 is bringing a story mode, but how intense is that going to be? Do we really know?
Yeah, and I'm not really too thrilled about the way they're doing the story, but that's another thing.
Right.
We'll talk about
I mean, at E3 they showed a trailer, but nothing else. They didn't show like, the first mission or like anything crazy. So they spent, what was it, an hour or so just watching a multiplayer match. So I don't know. It's crazy. It stinks that they had to close the studio down, and it stinks when projects that a lot of people have been excited about, projects that have been announced, are suddenly gone. And it's like, we don't know what's going to happen to them. That's just sad to see. But anyway.
But you know what I would like to see, just speaking in the vein of Star Wars games? For one of back when EA did their first E3 press conference after announcing that they had taken over Star Wars games, they started with just a video package of them showing them working on Star Wars games. And this was enough, like, I hope this wasn't for Battlefront, because this is when they were talking about in the video package about the Respawn and the Visceral game. Right. They showed people like motion capturing lightsaber combat. So what I do want my Star Wars game that's like 1313 or the Visceral game where it's not about the Jedi. But oh boy, do I want a modern lightsaber combat game that's done well. Yeah. That would be amazing.
I love the Jedi. I mean, the Jedi are some of the coolest characters ever, but it is interesting. There are so many other things that are in the Star Wars universe that you can do, that you could be. So I really like the idea of a Destiny, but in the Star Wars universe. I mean, you could have a Jedi class, you could have a bounty class, you could have something else. It could be really, really cool, especially with how deep the lore is. There's a ton of things you could build into. I mean, Destiny is building its lore. Star Wars has an established deep lore.
Star Wars is too much already.
Yeah.
Like you literally just have to write a story and just plop it in there and you're good to go.
Just drop it in. It'll be fine. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, there's a few things you can do. If you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com, and you can leave us a comment there, and we'll respond and comment back. We enjoy comments. If you're listening through audio services such as iTunes or other podcast services, you can leave us a nice little review. That really helps us out. And we read them, and we appreciate them, and they're great. Also, you can tweet us at Chortle Games, and we'll tweet you back. And last but not least, you can send us an email at chortlecast@gmail.com. Thanks, Stephen, for being a part of the podcast, filling in for Brody, who's a little below the weather today. Below the weather? What? That doesn't make any sense. Whatever. Under the weather? Below the weather? I'm going to start saying below the weather. Below the sea.
Same thing.
Whatever. Yeah. We've got some great stuff coming up for you on the channel this week. We're still in full swing of Halloween. We're doing Hellblade. Steven, how are you liking Hellblade so far? You've seen the first 4 episodes at this point, so...
I'm more entertained by you and Brody than I am by Hellblade itself.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's I don't know. You guys are fun.
It is a story-heavy game, and we got about this far in the campaign and kind of said, maybe this wasn't the best choice for Halloween or for the channel, but it was one of those things like, we've already come this far, let's go ahead. So there's definitely some funny, great content coming ahead. Some crazy stuff happens in the next few days. I think next week is when we start doing what's called the Trials of Odin. And there's an episode coming that's called, the name of the episode is Demonetization Demon. And it is this mash of bodies that are all naked. And it's a part of the game where you can't see anything. You're completely in the dark, and suddenly you find out that there's a monster that's chasing you. Brody focuses, which is a function in the game, and for whatever reason, when you focus on this monster, you can see it, and it's just this blob of bodies and stuff. And so we were like, oh well, we're demonetized. So we named it the Demonetization Demon. Anyway, you'll see it. It's going to be great. It freaks Brody the heck out because he doesn't like it. So we've got some good content coming up. We'll have 4 episodes of Hellblade with the finale of that series on Thursday. And then we're going to have a special podcast on Friday. My wife, Lee Allison, is going to be here. She's going to talk about conspiracies. So Stephen will be there. It's going to be great. And then also this Friday, we are continuing our live stream of Amnesia. So if you're watching right now and you're on the channel, you can go check that out. And then also next Friday, we're going to be live streaming Mario Odyssey. So not very Halloween-y, but hey, we're going to be live streaming it. So it's going to be great. So we've got a bunch of great content coming out this week. So stay tuned for all that good stuff. And Steven, any closing thoughts? Any final words for our audience?
Bungie, if you're listening, please fix my class on Destiny. I will take it as a personal favor. Thank you.
Oh, God. God save the hunters.
God save the hunters.